friends, welcome to this class. We're going to paint this simple scenes, basically somewhere in the farm. And so there's my post. This is the Schminke's masking fluid. Look at the reference, like the way like the snow is like attached over the post. So maybe a little bit there. And the same thing here. I'm just using an old brush. So here's my palette. I have the Quinn Red, Burnt Sienna, Vitek Brown, then Imidazzle Yellow, Phthalo Blue, Cobalt Blue, and Indigo. The next step is to wet the paper. I'm going to grab a thicker brush. This is my flat Casanel brush, Da Vinci's. Try to have a softer brush. Stiffer brushes are just good for details and like lifting colors, but when you wet the paper, there's no need to have like a stiffer brush. The main reason is why I like softer brushes is because when you apply colors at first wash, if you have a stiffer brush, you're gonna start picking up these colors. So it's gonna be harder for you to create a smooth layer. All right, so let's grab some of the blue, Cobalt Blue here, Phthalo Blue, Indigo, Quinacridone Red. Try not to overly mix the colors, okay? It's very important. And then grab a little bit of yellow. And try to like not overly mix the colors. So I need the other two colors. And you do want to be quick. That's the thing. Like we don't have a ton of time. About like 15 minutes till we can't really add any more colors because the paper will be too dry. Now, bothered by the scratch from the brush, but I just have to keep going. I've done it so many times before, and it's okay. At the end of the day, it's okay. It's just that it's the ferrule of that brush, not this one. So I'm adding a little more darks here. Now for the snow, I'm not gonna clean the brush. I'm just gonna grab more water, more of that cobalt blue, I'd say, and yellow. There you go. And this is milk-like ratio. So the snow again on the bottom needs to be lighter, right? So quick strokes, just so it's lighter, but we still need some color. So what I want is my, let's see, between the round 3 and then the round 8. And I'm gonna grab, let's see, some of these. This is gonna be first my round 3, somber details. This is creamy paint, okay? Cream top-like ratio means it's creamy paint like this. It feels really creamy. Why? Because I want to start working on these tree trunks. So this overall, all this is a little darker. So try to grab like thick paint in a way. I'm gonna grab my long cool size 2 brush. You would grab some of the blues. So Phthalo Blue, Indigo, and then the browns, and then we can work first like on the, there's no foliage, it's just leaves, right? I mean leaves, I'm sorry, no foliage, just branches. But we need something like to fill that background to add, to create depth. So this is like creamy paint. And I'm gonna grab this round 8, golden one. And first of all, I need like little lines here. So this is like going back and forth between all these areas, right? So that's because we need to create some depth. So we need to show there's like that volume, the lines. So this is more like a heavy cream on the tip of my brush. And just like you can see this actually in the reference. And the foreground here, this would be much darker and you'd see more of it. And these lines would be thicker. Actually, they're a little too thick maybe here. I'd say this should be a little darker, but I gotta be careful because I went over the house here. There you go. All right, I'm gonna clean my round 8. So I'm gonna quickly clean it. And now with my small brush, I'm gonna grab the Vitek Brown, Burnt Sienna, Indigo, some Phthalo Blue, and then work on these individual strokes to create the tree trunks. But you know what, I had too much blue, so now I just grabbed some Vitek Brown. And this is cream top-like ratio. The paint needs to feel like creamy, which you're grabbing. And creamy paint, very little paint, and you're gonna go toward these areas where we have like the fence, right? And you can create quick lines. And also like we have posts, something like that. And the same thing on this side. This is in a distance, like you really don't have to do anything perfect. So this is where I didn't wet, so this is for later. So that's our grass there. So what we're gonna do is wet this section. I'm just using my long quill size 2 brush. You don't have to touch all the way like where we just painted, because that could be still slightly wet. So I'm just kind of staying away from it. The same colors we used here for this snow. So this is my cobalt blue here, phthalo blue, some of the yellow, red, more cobalt blue, even the indigo. And then even more like of the indigo yellow. And then let's find some areas. So this is where we have like some darks. First of all, the darks. So the shadows over the snow, right? Snow technically is white, but it has a color to it because it all depends how the light and shadows affect the object. So I am adding this color, the blend of the yellow, the yellow, blues, and red toward the shadowy parts. So for the snow, but you want this to be more like half and half like ratio, I'd say, not spready too much the paint. You don't want it to spread too much because then it's just going to cover too much, and you don't want that to actually travel too much to the right. Round Eat or anything like this you have, this is a medium stiff brush, my Round Eat golden one. I'm going to grab some of this thicker, so creamy paint of the Van Dyke Brown Burnt Sienna. And that thick paint, this is cream top like ratio, I call it cream top. You're gonna find these little spots. So this is burnt sienna too. And we're gonna add, because this is wood. This is basically just wood. So we're gonna find the wood in between because it's covered in snow. And we're just gonna add these little chunks of paint. Not like literally chunks, it's just creamy paint, okay? Because I don't want you to leave like chunks of paint. It's just something that I call cream top like ratio. And I also have like a post about it and everything if you need like more guidance on what means like cream top or heavy cream and so on. This is just to separate the parts. So if you've taken the classes with me, the farm series, this is the same thing. We start with a lighter tone and we paint it wet on dry. So I was just saying about like, even though like my main technique is wet on wet, I do a lot of things wet on dry. One of those things is architectural pieces. So we're gonna paint this first rooftop wet on dry. So you're gonna grab water to milk like ratio, more maybe like a water like ratio. Trying to grab the same colors you used for the snow. Now think about it like, where are the shadows? So it's kind of like here, this is more shadowed. There are areas that are much lighter, and you can dry brush. That's why I'm using a rough watercolor paper, because I want some dry brushing. So this is snow over the rooftop. Nothing needs to be perfect here. I'm gonna grab a little more of that. Now this, it looks like this part of the rooftop is much darker here, the right side. And then I'm wiping my brush on a towel just so it's all softer. So this is darker. This should be slightly darker, so I'm going to grab a little more color here. Let's see, this is my burnt sienna, some Van Dyke brown. I'm trying not to overly mix it. I want this to be runny, like milk-like ratio, so I can easily add color to it. Now stay away from the top part here because that's where you want to show there's snow on the rooftop, right? So we want to stay away from that a little bit. Use the tip of your brush, guide yourself through it with that brush. Let that brush guide you, like how that tip of the brush. You need to stay away from that line a little bit, but I covered it a little bit too much. It's okay. I'll make it look good anyway. Kind of my mindset. Don't worry about the little things. Let's see, like an indigo. So that's a little too much. But it's okay. I'm just going to take advantage of it and spread it a little bit. And quickly go back to the other areas that you just painted. I'm going to quickly clean the brush and grab Van Dyke Brown, again, burnt sienna. And the dry brushing, let that to happen. And then there's a little piece of something there. Dry brushing is good because then you're leaving like little areas paper dry. Now, with that same brush, I can easily add a little bit of the fence. Something like this. Maybe there's a fence there, maybe there's another fence going this way. So this is a good time to like add the fence, for example, wet on dry too. This part a little darker just because there's a shadow coming from this one right here. So I'm just gonna make it like this, wet on dry. And the last thing we have left is actually, well, a couple last things. So we need to add like a wire, right? So here we go. This is my Van Dyke Brown, burnt sienna, some indigo, phthalo blue. You want this to be more like a water to milk. Now, again, perspective. So the ones in the background would be very thin and almost like you can't really see them. So you're breaking the lines a little bit. Something like that. Just connect the pieces a little bit. And then, as you see, there's like little... So what's left is removing masking from here and then from the snowy areas. So other than that, I think that's it for this painting. So thank you so much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions.